All right, let's get started. So for this video, I was having trouble selecting an idea, and I wanted a really, really good idea. There were times in the last 6 months that I came up with really, really good ideas to do videos on, and I couldn't come up with, any kind of solid idea. And so I thought I'd do something that I've done before, something quite general, which is music. Wanted to talk about music, and I have nothing planned, by the way. So again, I did post a couple of videos, with the way I was dressed up and everything, and managed to get some views, which was good. Not as many as I wanted, but it was good to get some views. Officially on the channel, it's good to get some views. I'm not really shooting for the highest amount of views here. I don't really want 1 million views on my channel, but I appreciate getting even if it's like 50 views. I appreciate getting that many views on a video. Sometimes the view counter doesn't even go on the video, and then I don't see what the view counter is. Anyways, we'll proceed here. So I wanted to talk about music, and obviously, I always go to the 90s, and I talk about things. But before I do that, there was an idea that came into my mind. And the idea is this: when I was in the 90s, a child watching TV and things like that, and scrolling through the TV channels. It was funny because in the 90s, we were all about spontaneity and coming up with things on the spot, really playing life like it was real, right? So, I mean, reality shows, I think, started around like early 2000s, but, in the 90s, you'd have a show, maybe, just a random show, maybe a game show or something, and everything was put together like as you went on, and people really got to explore what they were feeling and what was coming up next, and everything was real. And now everything is so fake, scripted, and pre-planned. Everything that you see on TV is always pre-planned. It's crazy, and that's the way the life is now. That everybody's afraid to, live in the moment. Like, what if I don't plan everything? What if I just decide to go sit where I'm sitting? What if I just decide to go to some restaurant? What if I just decide to do something? People are not as spontaneous as they were in the 90s. Anyway, that was a small thought I had, but we'll proceed here. We'll proceed with the music idea. So again, I have a lot of ideas. I'd say somewhat knowledge. I'd say extensive knowledge on music and quite a bright perspective on it as well. So that's why I don't really need to plan anything. I'm just like, okay, I just thought, okay, I'll talk about music. Now, first of all, what was I thinking initially? I was thinking about rap music, 90s, and house music, 90s. Now, when I say house, I guess you could throw dance in there as well. I like dance music. And we can get right into this. Okay, so I think I'll start with the dance part. Without shouting it out specifically, there were some music channels that I really liked when I was younger. Even like late 2008, 2009. I discovered certain music channels that I thought were just a breath of fresh air. They were having Eurodance and house music. Now here in downtown Toronto, when they used to have clubbing, Eurodance was a big thing. It was really popular, especially 90s Eurodance. I mean, even in the late 2000s, people were still go to parties every now and then where they would play nothing but 90s Eurodance music and 90s house music. I gotta be honest, I love that stuff. They even had Latin songs that always made it to the house charts. I think, okay, so one example is, if you really want to get a little bit corny and go with the really popular dance music of the 90s, the best thing to do is to watch Night at the Roxbury. I think that was Will Ferrell's first movie that he starred in. As far as I'm concerned, Chris Kattan was the other main role. There was a guy, I forgot his name. He was supposed to be really famous. Emilio Estevez or Emilio Estevan. I don't know. Maybe it was Emilio Estevez. I don't know who he was. He was a popular actor or something, and he played a role in the movie as well. They really didn't need anybody because with Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell, they were just really good actors. They were from SNL. They used again Saturday Night Live wasn't scripted, and Saturday Night Live again was live. It had not been shot, put together, edited, and then put on TV. It was right there on the spot. You would watch it live. Right, and that was so special because either in those days, either you would watch Mad TV, okay, it'd be a weekend night. You would either watch Mad TV, which again was scripted and put together, or you would watch SNL, which everything was done live on the spot. Anyways, the point is that movie was all about dance clubs, was all about nightclubs in LA, I believe, all about downtown LA nightclubs and fitting in and listening to music. And that movie has a soundtrack and has really good tracks out there, but for the lad part, that's what I thought, some of these songs were kind of corny. Okay, they had one song at the very end, right? It's by Faithless and it's called Insomnia. It has a music video to it as well, but it has an extended mix. Now that song was a brilliant song. It had house written all over it. The DJ was great. I mean, the beat is just what do they call that? It's hypnotizing. The beat will really hypnotize you in the moment, and they waited till the end to play it. Everybody knows that a popular, very popular. Ace of Base was quite corny. Ace of Base was quite corny. I think they had an Ace of Base song. I think they had Beautiful Life. And they had a really corny song by Hathaway called What Is Love. And I think everybody knows that song. That song is really corny. But they played it a few times in that video. Now again, the movie has its own soundtrack. As part of the Latin goes, there was a very corny Latin song as well. It was by No Mercy, and it was called Where Do You Go? I think everybody knows that song. Again, very corny songs, almost family-friendly songs. I mean, No Mercy, Where Do You Go is about a guy who, we don't need to get into that, but, a lot of these songs were family-friendly, and you could play it at like at a child's birthday party even, and it'd be okay. But Ace of Base, you could play at, I'd say Ace of Base was definitely family-friendly as well. There were songs that weren't family-friendly. There was a song by, I don't know how you say it, maybe Jocelyn Enriquez, and it was called Ecstasy, and it was obviously about drugs. And I don't think that song is appropriate for children. So some of the songs, they had a little bit of everything in that soundtrack. But that movie really, and that soundtrack represented the '90s, some of the corny but I mean enjoyable dance music. Back to house music. From what I know, I'm not a big house guy, but I know I knew some Latin house too, but one of the house songs that I listen to even to now that gets me excited, with the time, the way it's looking, I might not even be able to get into rap music, but again, the house music, one of the house songs that I really get into is by someone named Denzel, Danzel, and it's called Pump It Up. Yes, Pump It Up and Put Your Hands Up in the Air. They have music videos of the songs, and those are those songs are real house anthems from the '90s. I vividly remember those songs, and they were very exciting. And then you have kind of like your own like England or your own British house music. I think they call it garage, or Americans would say garage, and the British say garage. It's called UK garage music. I actually delved into that many years ago, and I found a lot of their house music to be exciting. I mean, it was very odd because me not living in England and listening to their 90s house music was very funny, because that era had already finished and I wasn't in that era, but I was listening to that music and I hadn't even been where they were. But I delved into it and it was very interesting, and they had good music. It's not my favorite, but I mean it's pretty good. So we got that. We got that down. What was I getting at? So the interesting thing is, and I think it's really cool is every now and then in the 90s there was a DJ who had no music video, or maybe had a music video with their face wasn't, they weren't even in their music videos. They had created maybe just one song or two songs, put it out, became hugely famous in the underground house music scene, and disappeared. And nobody had any idea what the guy looked like, what he did, who he was. They just heard his beats and the vocals that he mixed into the song. And that's happened more than once, as far as I know. And that music was absolutely incredible. Now, talked about enough about 90s house. Okay, so I'll get back to that. Before I do, modern house music in early 2017, I found Marshmello. DJ Marshmello is very famous. I found him and I started listening to his songs, and I absolutely fell in love with his music. I thought, I would watch his sets right away. At first I heard his songs, then I started putting them on his sets, his live sets, and I was just blown away by the music. I was in love with it. It brought feelings to me that I didn't have, that I'd had to listen to 90s music to be like, wow, I really feel this music. This reminds me of something, or this makes me feel a certain way. And that was happening in 2017 with the modern DJ. I thought this guy, and again, interesting thing, he never shows his face. He's always wearing a Marshmello hat where you can't even see inside to his eyes or anything. And I found that very interesting, was that, he didn't even show his face. It was like getting a breath of fresh air after almost 2 decades, and getting this new young guy or young kid to come out and put out music that was that incredible. Now to rewind, I got about 3 minutes here. So to rewind back, the last thing that I have to mention is that Eurodance has been very popular. I know there were clubs here in downtown. People would get together, and it was supposed to be a Eurodance night. So it could be an odd night. It could be, I think, it could be a weeknight or something. And people would get together, and they would be playing Eurodance specifically. And there were certain radio stations that played it. I think everybody knows what the radio station was. And they were really into Eurodance, and they played mostly the same stuff over and over again. But people were still joining in. People were still having fun. People were still having memories. Again, some of the Eurodance stuff just blew me away. And again, I only knew maybe 2 songs from the artist. The music blew me away at that time. Still does. Specifically songs from Europe. And again, Spain being represented. I guess the group wasn't from Spain, but there were some songs. I don't need to even say them, but there was 1 or 2 songs, and it was just because I think at that time, especially in the late 90s, Ibiza was a very, very popular party destination, and they liked playing house music. I mean, if you have a real party that has a lot of vibe and it's hardcore, it has to be house music. And I know Ibiza till today is a very popular house music destination for partygoers. And that was what it was really about. So some of the artists are not from Spain, but the music videos take place in Spain, or the songs are about some place in Spain where you can party. Finally, I had a thought okay. So, I was lucky enough in 2008, 2009. I won't say what the channel was, but I discovered an amazing house Eurodance channel. It was a lot of fun. It was like the channel that stood out the most for me, the one that I watched the most out of any channel. And it brought me into some songs that were popular in the late 2000s that I like till today. That's all I have to say. So I did not cover rap music. I've covered rap music before. I did cover rap music this time, but as you know, I covered house music and dance music. And if you ask me for a favorite, I would say house and dance music, maybe not favorite, but house and dance music is more for when there's a lot of people and there are big, large groups. And hip hop music can be a large group, but hip hop music is more kind of, a different type of environment and situation and whatnot. So I think I put it into perspective. I got to say some things there. Again, you don't have to comment, but it would be nice to get a like here and there on some of the videos. I always get, anyways, I don't think it, but it would be nice to get a little bit of recognition, or to check my numbers and see that I have like 4 or 5 likes versus just 1 or 2. But anyways, I'm done here, and the video is there for you to see. We're gonna stop it right here.